Content of this meeting has been sent to a third party.
We're on you. We're also on YouTube. We're gonna go viral, guys.
All right, well, now that we're officially started, welcome to the March Sustainability Committee meeting. We have a quorum. And so I ask the committee to consider the minutes that were provided by Jamie from our February 28th meeting. And see if we can get a vote on making those official. Any questions on the minutes? Do I have a motion to accept?
I move to accept.
We have a motion, a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Anton.
We'll roll call since Ron is online with us. We'll start in the room. Rick,
Yes.
Deb.
Oh, yes.
That's
Sorry, I'm also parenting by text message.
okay. It happens.
Yes,
Patrice, Anton,
Here,
I know what we're doing.
Ron,
Yes,
he's there.
thank you.
All right, Jamie provided us an agenda, and I'll open it up. Is there any other topics that aren't on the agenda that any members of the committee wish to chat about if we have time? Seeing and hearing none, we will lock in the agenda and move forward. There is an opportunity for public comment. Anybody in the public or online wishes to make comments, now is the time to do so. David, you have the floor.
Last meeting mentioned that the upcoming Maine Climate Council quarterly meeting was going to happen on March 14th. It did. There were about a dozen updates for an hour and a half of scientific information from across Maine and across the country, including from Steve of the Scarborough Conservation Commission on sea level rise. And there was overwhelming evidence of change impacting even Maine. The most beneficent of which was an extension of and likely even further extension of growing season in Maine. But that's positive and also negative because more pests, more infections, more disease bearing creatures, etc.
Yeah, we're seeing ticks over winter.
Ticks over the winter, Lyme disease advancing, although we're not supposed to talk about it. And what was evident to me and some others observing these updates and reports was it's very clearly a national and international phenomenon that is gaining attention. And another thing that happened this month is that the World Meteorological Association, which is not known for its being a let's say a progressive or an out there organization, reported that yes, 2023 was the hottest year that humans have ever reported or lived through, and the oceans in particular are warmer than ever, and that is continuing right now. So I just wanted to put a pin on the huge scope of the issue that goes well beyond efforts here and well beyond the ability of adaptation to take care of. So the things that we're doing in efficiency and converting fuels, that they're absolutely necessary. So keep it up. And what if there is, I didn't see it on the agenda, but if there's time to comment on the potential community solar farm, I want to be helpful in that because of my 13 years in the solar industry. I really would like. I sent Jamie a form request for proposals that's from the National Renewable Energy Lab. There's a more local one or two within Maine, which really focuses on Maine law, but I'd be happy to share with you or help you edit or whatever you want.
Thank you. We're not at that stage yet.
Yeah.
And when we do get to that stage, I'll certainly reach out, but you know, before any kind of RFP or anything goes out, we'll need authorization from town council. And so we're in the very kind of early stages, exploration stages.
And my last comment is the advantage of looking at that now is that you can scale down on the range of things that you may be considering and focus in on potential, let's say, short-term exposure of expense and long-term exposure to income for the town.
Yeah.
From that, so that's all, and finally, I have a class in town, so I'm gonna be leaving before 9 o'clock to get to my class, my climate class at time. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anybody else? Nobody online, Jamie?
No,
I just have a comment. Did people see in the Portland Press, I think it was yesterday, about fire danger? It was an editorial. Certainly we all saw how many trees, branches, white pines, all that stuff coming down. I live in a condo association just off of the Eastern Road. And I mean, we were creamed with all kinds of branches and trees and stuff coming down on us. But there is a group in Maine, there's a national group called Firewise Communities. And they strive to educate people, organizations to not plant trees and shrubs closer than 30 to 70 feet to your structure. To keep they would have a list of plants that are very low combustibility index, that are safer than others to plant near your buildings. And they say that the wildfires, certainly in Canada and Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, are a wake-up call because our Maine climate is so similar, and we really need to be doing things to think about the forest fires that certainly will come. The big editorial yesterday, if you can access it.
Interesting.
Firewise
Thanks.
Communities got it started in Bergen County.
Let's just make sure that we do, Robert's rules and everything, and we close public comment officially. And now, thank you that was not a public comment, that was a committee comment. And it's always welcome to hear those, for sure.
and Patrice, I'll look for that editorial and circulate it to the group after this meeting.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll conduct old business, and Jamie, I think the only thing we have on our old business plate right now is the CP's ordinance. Can you give an update?
Yes, so that went through ordinance committee in March, and it will be going for its first reading for the town council on April 3rd. And we'll have representation from James Neal of Efficiency Maine to give a brief kind of 10-minute overview of the program to the town council, and hopefully we'll move that forward and have a CPACE ordinance on the books. So the way it'll work is it'll go through first reading, the first meeting in April, and then it will be scheduled for a public hearing and second reading. Sometimes those are taken up at the same meeting.
Will it go to planning board because it's an ordinance?
It's not a land use ordinance, so
No, that's true.
I don't believe it will
Okay.
have to go to planning. board.
Good, that keeps one step out of the,
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, hopefully, by, sometime in May, we'll have this on the books. Unless there are, any questions that the council has that we need to address.
Good news on that front, for sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
New business, Jamie, you want to talk about Sustainable Scarborough Day? It's in October, so it's not that
It is
far.
not that far away. So, yeah, we need to start thinking as a group about, what this committee, might want to focus on for, that event. Just a little recap, last year's event, I think, was really, well attended. We got great feedback from the survey that went out, following the event. I've already started lining up food trucks. We have music this year that's been confirmed.
Who's gonna play?
The Maine Marimba Ensemble, so giant xylophones, they'll be there. Yeah, Deb?
Oh, and this is the time to start talking to schools to make sure we're coordinating.
Yeah.
That they'll get the word out.
Yeah, so, and also, so this was something that we ran into, last year, was having the schools help us, get information out to, students and families. So yeah, and thank you for that reminder to, start coordinating with the schools so that hopefully they can put some information out in their e-newsletters. I will also do a better job coordinating with community services because they have a separate mailing list that goes out to, their, kind of like preschool and, youth sports groups and things like that. So we can get information out through those channels as well to kind of build up,
And in
the event.
particular, letting them know about the parking closure.
Yeah, that will be something that we'll do closer to the event.
Yeah.
So we had issues with people parking on the, around the bus loop at Wentworth School. Didn't know that they did that, and so we had to track people down and ask them to move their vehicles last year, as we were setting up for the event, so. We had, as great as the event was last year, we have lots of lessons learned that we will incorporate, this year. And so we are going to, I need to reconvene the planning committee, so last year it was Rick and Deb, who were our reps. Patrice has said that she would like to, participate in the planning committee this year. Do we have any other volunteers, this time around to get things going? Be a sounding board?
We'll funnel things through Patrice.
All right.
But somebody had the idea of convection or induction stove and cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
A demo.
I think that's an awesome.
And we could probably get some of those like countertop versions.
Yep, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, and I wonder if, I mean, I'm happy to reach out to Allgreens. They've been partners. And maybe see if we could get a donation of some kind, but I think it's a cool thing. I'm just gonna throw out to the committee that, you know, we'd like to have an informative booth. And one of the things that I feel would be helpful for homeowners who are mostly going to attend this. This isn't populated by businesses attending,
Mhm.
but information on how you can transform your home off of fossil fuels. All the things that can be done to a home, induction cooking is one of those, that leads to a fossil-free or the term now being used is electrification, beneficial electrification. And it would be neat if we had some way of putting together information that homeowners would be able to chew on and understand in making that transformation. That's my suggestion as a focus for our booth. We were, and it doesn't mean we can't do others, but if members remember, we did recycling, we had, you know, give us your 2 cents worth. We had a lot of things going on, and we can still do that. But I think maybe because it's the sustainability committee and it's one of the things that we're concerned about with the greenhouse gas emissions. I think a focus of that nature would be helpful for the attendees.
Jim, can you refresh my memory? Last year, I know you did this survey instrument asking people what they thought were critical issues.
Mhm.
Do you remember what the top 1 or 2 issues were?
So I can actually pull it up because
Transportation was one.
transportation was pretty high. So getting solar on municipal buildings was pretty high. More food waste, dealing with food waste, I think ranked pretty high. If you give me a second, I can pull it up.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering if there was something that would tie in with what Rick was talking about, or whether that would generate other ideas that would be manageable for
Yeah,
presentation. It's just not, I don't think you could do transportation, but
well,
We
and
did with the cars
yeah, so
and the
it's,
bicycles.
yeah, we had e-bike test drives and EV test drives, because, the timing of our event coincides with National Drive Electric Week, so we can get approved as as a National Drive Electric site. So yeah, we definitely did have, kind of alternative fuel vehicles there. But if we're talking about, you know, like connectivity and things like that. We might not be able to, although by that point, I think that the town's transportation committee will have their townwide transportation study largely wrapped up. So there might be some outcomes from that that can be shared with the community and kind of talking about the focus moving forward. Because there was a fairly large bike ped component to that and discussing how to improve our active transportation infrastructure in Scarborough. In terms of this group's focus at the event, it would be great to have some sort of hands-on activity or interactive activity. So need to be thinking about if we do, focus on transitioning homes or electrifying homes, what an activity might be related to that that could kind of draw people in. And since we are trying to get information out through the schools and through community services, youth programs and things like that, there is a large youth component to the event. So thinking about that as well.
Also, it might sound kind of stupid, but I'd like to reach out to some decorators. Because where I live, many people that didn't have air conditioning don't want to install heat pumps because they think that these things.
They don't like how
they
The
don't
mini
like how they.
splits.
Yeah, the mini splits, and they don't like a channel up the side of their house, and they don't like all kinds of things like that. But they're the wave of the future, and certainly to retrofit homes. And it can be done in an attractive way, and to maybe have a big screen kind of playing over and over, this is how it can look. Again, part of changing your home around to electric.
It's funny how when you create a demand, the market will respond.
Yeah.
It wasn't but yesterday I was on a inspection at the new 201 Federal Street 18-story multifamily structure. And they put these packaged terminal heat pump systems in their home, in every apartment. And they are little boxes. You know how you go to a hotel and you see those big hunking things and they wake you up? It's that same kind of thing. It's all in one. It's all heat pump and it's heating and cooling, and it sits maybe that far away from the wall. And there's two holes being made with little grills, so you get an intake and an outtake. And these units are heat pumps. They're just not like the mini splits. And so you don't get the flexibility of, having big BTU per hour systems.
Do they run on 110?
They do. And that was the other thing. They plug right in. So
It's just like one of those little Eskimos or one of those little things that for cooling that.
Oh, like the portable.
Yeah,
portable little air
Portable air
conditioner.
conditioner, only they go right through the wall.
Well, yeah, there's two little holes,
Yeah,
and
they do heating.
of course, there's the condensate too that goes out a little bit, but you have that with heat pumps of all types.
How many BTUs are these things?
Well, they range in sizing. And I was particularly impressed that they did them in the common area, the kitchen. They had a kind of an open floor plan in all these rooms, and then every bedroom got one. And so it was a whole home or whole apartment type solution. And
How much do they cost?
they're in line with a small ductless mini split.
Which means,
Well, depends.
6,000, 5 to 6,000.
We say 4 to 6.
Ooh, yeah.
good.
Eligible for
Good.
rebate.
And tax credits. They're not eligible for rebates, from my understanding, from efficiency main at this point on the residential side. But I'm thinking, and these are made, they had to get them delivered from Italy. They're being made in Italy right now. But funny thing is, they're building a factory in the US to make these units.
Do they come in pretty assorted colors?
They're kind of a, what is it, antique white color.
I was looking for Ferrari red.
It's coming out of Italy, I'm sure you can get it.
And there's several brands right now, but these seem like you know, the new product out there, a consumer product.
And LG has a new indoor unit that is like an art frame that
Oh,
you can put in your own art. That looks like.
Oh, no kidding, do they?
Yeah.
I didn't see
And-
that.
and- And it does heating and cooling?
Well,
We,
it's the indoor unit, the big old ugly indoor unit up near the ceiling, but revisioned as a piece of art. And you get to choose your own art. It's really just framed.
so you're putting it on the casing of
No,
the,
but it's more rectangular instead of this. I mean, it's more this than this.
uh-huh.
They've changed the format.
Ron, you got your hand up?
Yes, because of the outages of electricity, I'm assuming there are people who are skeptical about being only electrical. So I would suggest that we talk to battery backup generator people and see if we can't get them there.
Good solution,
that's
good idea, good idea.
Well, and remind people that your boiler requires electricity as well.
It sure
Yeah.
does.
Yeah,
Mine, that's one of the hoops I've got on my generator, because
Yeah.
but it's a much smaller circuit than if you were to have a heat pump full home. I mean, 100 amp service used to be, you know, it used to be the 60 amp service, it went to 100. New buildings are being built with 200 amp services now to accommodate EV chargers and electrification. So that's another thing that should be part of the education process, is that right now there's some attractive tax credits for everything like this available, and so we need to have that information as well. And I think if you sell it based on the return on that investment that you make with the tax credits, it becomes very attractive.
What about reaching out to organizations about windows, efficient windows and or types of insulation? Maybe like Hancock Lumber or someone would be willing to have a booth and do some stuff. I don't know.
That might not be a bad reach out at Hancock Lumber, because they do that. Maybe a couple of insulation companies that might wanna talk about, you know, weatherization of their, you know, seal plates and, you know, obviously everything's got a price and you have to have a threshold. You know, there's a lot of people out there that promote weatherization before electrification. And that is kind of short-sighted, because a lot of homeowners only have so much capacity to do investments. And your biggest bang for your buck is getting off of fossil fuels. It's not the weatherization. Weatherization is good. It minimizes incoming air, but usually now you have to have ventilation to bring in fresh air. So you're really, you know, a lot of people just can't do this, you know, can't do the whole slice of the pie at once. You gotta take pieces, and the bang for the buck is going through electrification. But I don't think we should not sell insulation as a good source for energy savings.
You know, it's a shame. I think a lot of people, and I think Scarborough has a number of older residents who then when they think about a heat pump, they go, yeah, it would be nice, you know, having like having an air conditioning. But they go, does it really make sense for me to spend, like mini splits nowadays installed are what, like 4,000 or 5,000 a piece, right? So they say, well, I might need 3, so that's 15,000. And I'm 70 years old. I mean.
Is that old?
Excuse
Excuse me.
I see a challenge, I see a challenge.
Okay, yes.
Well, I just throw, maybe I shouldn't have put a number on it, but they say, I don't think I'll have enough time to realize my,
that's an issue for all.
get a
of these.
return.
It is, but keep in mind, they're gonna have to sell that place too, and if it's sold, it has a higher value
Does,
Not yet.
And real estate
Oh, it does,
agents
yeah.
are really starting to see that paradigm change.
The only
and-
difference
and-
between
and-
our condo unit and the one next door is they have central air.
And,
Everywhere, and we have heat pumps, but they have central air, and their unit is considered no better.
Right,
and
so
so
that's
if
the
you, if
piece I'm
you
talking
do,
about. The real estate agents are not yet noticing the energy.
if you do.
No, that's not, I want to make sure that's not true anymore. It used to be, there are now classes and CEU credit classes for realtors to get the value of energy efficiency.
Right, but that's not what she's.
But the market
Yeah.
is not showing
The-
it
The
yet.
market
mar-
isn't showing it yet,
Right.
but
Well-
you know,
Well, if they had done heat pumps, I'm sure
No,
it
she
would
has
have been
heat
low.
pumps.
I know.
The neighbor has air conditioning and theirs is valued higher.
Yeah.
Hers is better.
Yep.
Theirs is valued higher. The market's not doing it.
I guess I'm sorry with the
will.
preface, but I guess
It
the
will.
point that I wanted to make was when I lived in California. The power company came out, this was in the 70s, the power company came out and said. We'll get a contractor and we'll insulate your house. They'll put. Because there were a lot of post-World War II houses that actually had no insulation in the ceiling. And they would come in and they would insulate your house, put the insulation in, and then you would pay it off over 10 years. You know, it was just something that was just like added on. I forget whether it was added on to your energy bill or something. But it was something that the power company got behind. And it was really wonderful. I mean.
Way back when, I think they called it the Good Sense Home.
You know,
CMP ran that program of insulating your attic and putting a wall up around the scuttle and damming it so that you could put additional
yeah,
flow
I
in.
think this was Southern California Edison that had this program. But it made, in like, my house didn't have any insulation in the attic. And, you know, I mean, when we bought the house, I'm standing in the living room, it was 99 degrees, you know, with the heat. And when they insulated it, the house was manageable during the day. So, but it was a nice program, but we don't do that here, do we?
We provide weatherization. It's called weatherization, but it's really air sealing and insulation.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
Does the power company, does CMP get behind any of these initiatives?
They don't have to. There's an entity in Maine that does it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, CMP is kind of doing their, adjusting the rates for heat pumps and EV owners and things like that. I don't know how well it's working because I submitted stuff to them and never heard anything from them. So I don't know. They say that they're doing it. I don't know if they're actually implementing it, but then we've got Efficiency Maine that has, rebates for insulation and things like that.
The PUC's got a lot of things from the legislature to do in concert with beneficial electrification, so. Yeah, the designing rates that are attractive, so it entices people, that's one thing.
I was just, the only thing that goes through my mind is it's just a shame we can't make some of these initiatives more affordable for the average person. For instance, like heat pumps and whatnot.
Well, you know, the federal government picks winners and losers sometimes, they, you know, and they pick solar and they do a very heavy tax credit for solar. And so you gotta factor those in, I mean, there isn't enough money anywhere that we can just throw to everybody and say,
No,
let's
no.
all make the move.
No, I appreciate that, but all I'm saying is, no matter what the cause is, I think the cost is a big barrier to entry for a lot of people.
I agree,
I
the market still hasn't fully accepted the new construction market, although our codes are going to be changing here very soon. It's at the MUBEC's new code, the 2021 is, my understanding is at the Attorney General. It went through rulemaking and everything like that, so the Attorney General has to see the results and kind of get their blessing, and then it becomes official because the MUBEC board has the power to vote. And so that's going to change. So our building codes have really increased, which makes tighter homes. And you know, with the with the advent of the heat pump technology now, we're seeing homes being built with no boilers. And you can justify this, there's no more, if you put an oil boiler in, you need a chimney, right? So you gotta have a chimney. Doing propane is a little less because you can run pipes out the side, PVC pipes. But what astonishes me is that Hillcrest development expansion, if you go down the spur toward Portland and you look at the backyards of all of those, there's 2 propane tanks by every brand new manufactured home. So we've got to get the manufactured home industry in line with everybody else, because they're building these things and plopping them on a foundation and putting propane heating systems in. The funny thing is they put in a heat pump for air conditioning. But they
A lot
don't
of
put
people
in,
want gas cooking.
yeah, that is true, but that's why I think maybe an education on cooking with induction would be.
Once you've used an induction cooker, you don't want to use anything else.
You're right, you will not do that.
And it's that market transformation, it's one of those things that it does take time. I mean,
We bought one of those little portable, some years ago, we bought just on the lark, bought one of those little portable induction cooktops. Don't even use our electric stove anymore. You can pretty much cook, you know. Unless you're doing Thanksgiving, you rarely use the electric stove.
And so fast.
Yeah, so much better.
so I think that's a great thing to do, and maybe we can actually have cooking demonstrations in the cafeteria of the.
Maybe you can make a pizza on an induction cooker.
Outside.
Oh, we could do it outside, what,
Because, you know, I went to a couple of the little
That's a good
lectures, there
idea.
were like 3 people, I mean, there was nobody inside, well, it was a beautiful day.
Yeah,
If it
it
had
was
been
a
rainy,
perfect
people
day.
would have been
yeah,
inside. but-
well, then we have to go to a rain plan.
Yeah,
There's a rain plan. There's a plan B for rain, but, so we may be able to, if this group wants to focus on electrification, try to do some of the induction, cooktop, giveaways, and maybe maybe your interactive piece is kind of periodic cooking demonstrations throughout. We can find, if anyone here is a really good chef, we'll sign you up, or we
I'll
can find
some-
others.
I'll find some personal chefs and the Good Table opens tomorrow. Do people notice that?
We got a lot of area restaurants that make,
May
you know,
come and
make-
make
Really,
their
really good
services and.
things,
yeah,
yeah.
and we can let them promote their restaurant.
What about a tiny house on site? A lot of people have never toured a tiny
That
house.
is a really neat idea.
You could actually demonstrate some, like if you found a tiny house that had some of these things.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You could have, I was actually trying to think of how we could have like, artificial house, like that we could make it
Yeah.
kind of like a house and
Oh,
have
neat.
things in. But a tiny house might be.
If we could get a tiny house and have, oh,
And
that
if
would be.
someone's got one on a trailer and they don't mind parking it with us for the
Well, a
day.
lot of them are on trailers.
Exactly.
For the manufacturers.
You're on mute, April, did you? Oh, okay.
2 years ago, we took the ferry, 2 years, I don't know, years ago, we took the ferry from Portland to,
Peace.
no, to Canada, to
Oh,
Halifax.
oh, yeah.
I think, and 2 tiny houses drove on board.
On board.
Yeah, you know.
That's a great idea. I
So
that's a
people
great
can
idea.
see, you know.
I wonder if we could talk to some of our big contractors, if they maybe have wind of something that's got wheels on it.
Who makes tiny houses around?
Well, contractors build them. There's
There's a
6
bunch
of
of
them.
the downs.
6 of them in the downs.
There-
Oh, go ahead, Autumn.
Sorry. Hey, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to caution you about tiny homes. We don't actually have anywhere in town that they would be really allowed in the way that would be productive for a tiny home development. Our smallest lot is 5,000 square feet, so they would just be.
No, I think what we're trying to
Yeah,
do
I
is
just-
get a mini
We just
house.
had this come up from a developer asking about it, so it's fresh on my mind that we don't actually. We don't disallow it, but we don't provide for it, so I would just caution you about that. It's a great idea. I love tiny homes. I think they're really cool. I just don't want to get us too excited without thinking other things would have to happen.
It wasn't thinking about having people build them and live in them. It was because it's a smaller scale of a home. We were going to show electrification, what electrification looks like in a home.
Okay,
And-
perfect.
A tiny home can come in on wheels and almost function like a home, but not encouraging them to purchase. We won't put a price tag on it.
There is though, state law, a new state law was just passed that's gonna go into effect, end of June. That is going to allow manufactured homes to go anywhere that single family homes are allowed. So.
Would they be considered accessory dwelling?
I was gonna ask
Nope,
that.
they're just single family homes. So a manufactured home now has the same, right now we have them in specific locations and those will still exist. But if you have R2 zoning that allows a single family home, you can do a manufactured home there. So that's a state law that's now going in. That's to encourage more affordable housing and to increase our housing stock. But that might be somewhere that you guys could spend a bit of time thinking about. You know, you were just talking about Hillcrest and Pinecrest and the propane tanks and just to get conversation going. I went to a housing summit yesterday too, so all sorts of ideas out there.
Autumn, would a tiny home be an allowable accessory dwelling unit?
Yes,
So,
it could be an accessory dwelling unit.
And they're
And that
really
came about
cool.
because of that law, right, Autumn? The
LD
didn't we have to change the ordinance to?
We
accommodate
already,
state
LD
law?
2003 was enacted last
Yeah.
year and we were already in good shape. We already allowed accessory dwelling units. We do have limitations on the size that is allowed based on the size of your primary home. But we were in pretty good shape for that. So every single family home is allowed to have an accessory dwelling unit. You can have it inside, you can have it attached or detached within certain parameters for size. So a tiny home could function as that. You could get it on your property.
Wonderful, you know, an in-law.
An in-law apartment, I mean,
Your au
yes,
pair
they-
suite.
That's what I was gonna say. If we're kind of talking about like what people in Scarborough are looking to do and like generationally, I will tell you, like Matt and I are trying to figure out how to keep our parents in Scarborough and keep them in their homes. And we're looking at our property as a way to do that. And so I think there's probably another demographic there that would be really interested in talking about ADUs, and then we could dovetail that with this conversation about making them super efficient and, you know, electrified as opposed to,
But
you know,
that's also a
traditional ways.
sustainability issue just by
Yeah.
other means.
Yeah.
You know, providing people affordable living
Mhm.
options and, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it sustains this healthy community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
April, say granny flat instead of ADU.
my dad won't let me.
Granny pot.
We refer to those as geezer units.
I'm
My
trying to make it
daughter's
sound
putting one
fancy
in,
for
and
my
that's
dad.
easy.
Awesome. Well, I think do you have enough? I think we have to move forward with our agenda.
Yeah, I think that that's all great. And so Patrice, I will reach out, once we kind of get the planning committee together, but these are all really good ideas that I can, begin incorporating. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So the date will be October 6th. So that everyone can get it on their calendars.
What is that stuff?
It is a Sunday again.
Sunday,
actually.
yes. Yeah.
The first Sunday in October, I think, is kind of,
Are we gonna get a proclamation? The town council would
we
Could
probably
we-
can.
consider that? What do you think?
We did
Yeah,
April?
let's take a look at what we passed last year. What did we pass just for 2023?
It may have just been 2023, so I'm wondering if,
Okay, yeah,
if we
let's
do it
take a
this
look.
time around, that we do it the first Sunday in October, and that way
That way it's always, we can always go around saying it's Scarborough Sustainable Day.
Scarborough Day, yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's look at what we passed before.
like a good idea.
Great.
I hope we get the school bus thing again.
The Tinker Bus, I think
Oh.
they'll come again. Yeah, that was a huge hit.
Huge.
Yeah,
And the guys with the.
yeah, yeah.
was
US
so-
Fish and Wildlife brought their inflatable archery set, which was a great hit also.
Oh my.
They were kind of a last minute addition, and so glad that they were able to join us.
I mean, my kids drove up from Massachusetts and my granddaughters were like cuckoo. Like died and gone to heaven.
Yeah.
because it's too late.
Great.
So everybody do your sun dance because we really lucked out with weather last year. So hopefully it was like, the one nice weekend of the year last year,
Yeah.
it seems like. So hopefully we have good weather again. So that made all the difference. We do have the option to move inside if it's raining. But it's so wonderful to be outside at Wentworth.
All right, moving to the Trigen discussion.
Trigen, yes. So,
An oldie but a
an
goodie.
oldie but a goodie, yes. So, we are, in the town's in the situation where, the Trigen needs some significant maintenance, in order to keep it, running. It has been down, for a pretty extended period of time at
What
this
is it?
point. Good question. So
You
Trigen
probably don't wanna know.
is this contraption sitting outside the building.
Back up.
Okay.
How
so
long has it been
Trigen
online?
Is,
How long's it been there?
2014, I believe.
Trigen is a concept of using a single unit to generate electricity and also heat and cooling.
Mhm.
And it's very common on college campuses, and hospitals and other situations. And it was one of the first projects of this committee. And the particular equipment that was chosen was a poor choice. And it has been nothing but since the time it was installed.
It's a reciprocating engine
Running.
fired by
Right.
natural gas.
Right.
Sustainable.
Yeah.
Which is
Right.
pretty much like a emergency generator that you find in Pete's Island that runs on diesel fuel.
Exactly.
It's actually actually at the time, it was a great concept.
It was very innovative at the
And
time.
conceptually, it is still a good concept.
It is.
Particularly given the price of natural gas.
Right. And I tried to have one that was driven by wood chips. But there were concerns that we would need like a constant parade of trucks to deliver these wood chips, which wasn't true. Still isn't true. But we were just never able to make that transition to something that would be biofuel. And in any case, we spend more time than we would like to talking about why this thing sucks.
The other thing too is obviously it's combustion and there's technology out there, hydrogen, those kind of things that can do it without combustion. So this is another product that is seen its better day, so to speak, technology.
Yeah,
The technology in principle is, as Deb said, perfectly sound. It makes for good microgrid opportunities where those are necessary. But it's just the driver of it is not what needs to be there.
But didn't we get a substantial,
Very big grant.
There
grant or
was,
something for
there
that?
was funding provided
that covered-
now.
That covered about half of the cost of this?
It was a pretty significant,
I don't really remember all the details, but.
and it's 10 years old now. And it's reached its operable life in that it will keep nickeling, diming the town over the next few minutes. As long as we keep it, it will be an expense that the town has to absorb.
Is it working right now?
No, it's not online now.
What is the source of failure for this unit? What,
The engine.
The engine's bad, but there's so many kind of antiquated control systems that are employed there that aren't being used today. So there's nobody that, I think there's one company that can service
there's
it.
one service company out of Massachusetts. So every time we have an issue with it, we need to have someone drive up from Massachusetts to service it, which is a big expense.
But the good news is we can offset the electricity that makes if we do a solar farm
Right.
that we're gonna be working toward. So I think Jamie's hinting at, there's two options, either keep nickeling and diming it to have a very you can't depend on the unit anymore.
how much would it cost to take it out?
Well, we probably need to pursue a decommissioning type.
Ceremony.
Can we?
Deb,
at least we didn't build a separate building. Remember how we're gonna have a building and everything?
He was trying to require us to do that.
But, yeah, we need to check out how we can decommission it, but that is going to change the natural gas usage for this account. And it's going to, the electricity that this was offsetting is now gonna be fully on the grid.
And requires reconsideration of heating and cooling.
Right.
Yep.
Because that was a part of the heating and cooling, I mean, part of what happened at the time. was
Yep, there's
some
an
of the boilers-
absorption chiller on
the
that.
Boilers or the, whatever we had, furnaces were bad.
Mhm.
But those recently got replaced. I mean, not
Right,
recent,
yes.
I mean, within the last 10
10
years. Those are new modulating,
Because.
condensing
it's not-
boilers.
Not reliable enough to provide.
But you're right, we lead by example, right? We shouldn't be burning natural gas in this building when there's technology that
Well,
can.
and that's what we were not able to push away from. It's like, we have natural gas is cheap, it's better than the other options, and so we should just.
When
do
you,
it,
say-
and I
when,
just
when you
think
say
that-
decommissioning, what do you mean exactly?
Well, taking it apart is gonna take labor and time, and there's still some value in some of the components that can be resold, so you wanna get
No, 10 years.
somebody, they decommission ships, right? So they can
No,
get
no,
value
no,
off of it.
I was just wondering how you were using that term. I mean,
Break it down, recycle parts that need to be recycled.
yeah, sell
and
what you
try
can
to-
sell and,
Yeah.
and do whatever else.
Ron has a hand up also.
Go ahead, Ron.
Maybe you answered this, but what is, since it's not online right now, there must be some replacement method that they're using. What exactly is used to replace it when it's not working?
We just pull from the grid.
Okay,
Or just CMP, and we have boilers and
And we eventually bought enough boilers to cover the full load because it simply wasn't reliable. Like,
okay. Yeah, I did.
initially, that we we were intending to replace some of the boilers with this. And it's not worked the way we. Sometimes life is like that.
Yeah, I had. So, I mean, you can in fact just leave it dead and then come up with a replacement. There's nothing that we have to do instantly to save the world here.
no.
No, the building will function as it is today with the unit not running.
There were
Okay.
lots of redundancies built in, so we had that, and we were still connected to the grid, and we have a backup generator as well, so. Yeah, this building still runs under many different scenarios.
So I think, Jamie, you're just looking for some sort of endorsement, so to speak, from this committee saying that
To pull the plug.
we should proceed with a decommissioning plan. At the same time, knowing that we're also going after funding for a solar farm that can help offset what that was supposed to
Was
offset.
intended to offset, yeah, and I think, Tom wanted to make sure that this group was aware, since, the energy committee was the kind of driving force, in that system, so letting you all know what the situation is and giving you an opportunity to kind of weigh in. And then he's also asked for help kind of, sharing this information with the public. Because it was a big to-do when this came online, because it was a very innovative approach. And I think part of the change also is that technology has just grown so much since that was
And
designed
so
and
rapidly,
installed.
you're looking at a 10-year
Yeah,
span here.
I think that we can probably let it go quietly.
Mhm.
It's been 10 years, nobody remembers
Well, there's Scarborough's got its watchdogs, as
Right,
every
right,
community does, and with social media, it goes around a lot faster.
And it's better for us to put the information out than for people to just
Right,
speculate.
but quietly, like,
Yeah.
so an article on a
In the
variety of
newsletter,
things that are
yeah.
happening.
Newsletter,
And include this information as a few paragraphs, that it was innovative, it's served its purpose, it's time to move on.
How much are we paying in maintenance for it now?
It's significant. I don't know
As
the
in
exact
what?
number.
I mean, what does significant mean?
Don't put pressure on.
No, I'm just curious. I mean, how much are you paying for it now? And what are you gonna lose if it goes off? And then you're gonna come out, if you're gonna come out with a press release, at least make it seem like you're making a reasonable economic
Yeah.
judgment on the.
No, I think the contents of the press release needs to be worked out, but what Jamie's looking for is some sort of endorsement from this committee that probably should be the pathway forward, and then the town can do the appropriate.
I mean, for the long run, this probably has to go. You know, but I was just wondering what the numbers are. And quite frankly, I don't think the town does accrual accounting. So I don't think you could write the cost of taking this down over a couple
Well,
of years.
that's not our job. Let's try to stay away from
I mean, I'm sorry,
what the
but
town does in terms of.
that's where my head goes in terms of, does making a recommendation like this make sense?
I don't know that we're the ones recommending that it be decommissioned. We're just promising not to pitch a fit. So I, as one of the major supporters of this project initially, I knew that, I mean, I don't know if this needs to be formal, so it's not.
I don't think it needs to be formal.
I promise not to pitch a fit.
Well,
It's okay to pull the plug.
well, then,
The bean counters have counted the beans, and this is not something we should keep. They've been moving in that direction for several years at this point. And I would suggest that we as a committee, not stand in the way.
I was just suggesting that a rational economic judgment is easier to defend rather than.
And I think they can
we're
make
gonna-
that
We're gonna
case.
go
And
for
we
the
can make that
latest
case.
and greatest thing.
I just don't have the numbers on the top of my head, but that case.
That's probably the case that we should try to ensure that it's dumbed down. No, I shouldn't say dumbed down. It's friendly to those that aren't bean counters. And the way we explain the fact that we're no longer gonna hear that noise out there. And
I would just-
Same
Been
way
here for a
Debbie does.
while. It's been down for a while. Because like I said, it does need it needs significant maintenance put into it, and that's why the decision. This conversation is being had now, because we need to make the decision, do we make the investment to get that back up and running? And the fact that it's required a lot of maintenance over the 8 to 10 years that it's been online probably doesn't make sense.
And the other thing that's factored in here is there's an opportunity to bulk purchase our power and natural gas at competitive prices, and the prices are really favorable right now. And so hedging forward, looking at the increase in electricity and the decrease in natural gas, and locking into comfortable costs so that it can be budgeted in the future. And this wouldn't be a 1-year price. This would be over
Yeah.
time. So it starts to bring some stability in the utility costs.
And the energy will likely, we're looking at certified renewable energy, so we'll know that.
That's another thing we'll put on in the article, of the fact that the energy we're gonna procure will be greener than it is today.
Was the other certified renewable when you put it in?
No, because it was natural gas.
Yeah, it's natural gas. So our
Natural
electricity
gas,
will be
yeah.
certified green as
Yeah.
opposed to, I think right now we're just working off of the CMP standard offer, so we don't know what the source is. So we'll.
Did you get what you needed?
Yes, I think so, and as long
More
as,
than,
I'm sorry.
you got more than.
Yes, no, but these are all good conversations to have, and like I said, this group was the driving force behind that, and the decision was made on the best available information at the time, and
Tom was in all those meetings.
yeah.
My guess is that Tom is trying to make sure that I'm not gonna pitch back. I mean, and I'm not going to, it's time, it's okay.
Great.
Personally, I just want to make sure that we don't get accused of just being idiots.
Well,
You know what I
I
mean?
don't know there's any getting around that. it was an
The
unfortunate.
decision was based on
Well,
the
we
information that we
made-
had at the
We
time.
made a sound economic decision at the time,
We did.
and now we need to make another sound
Mm-hmm.
economic decision, and I just think that it would be good to know what some of the numbers are, because
Yes.
I have no idea what the numbers are, other than that would be significant.
Well, maybe for next meeting, Jamie, you could bring back to this committee some of those, numbers that.
Otherwise, we just look like we're being foolish with other people's money, and I know that that's an
Jamie?
issue for Tom.
Do you
Yeah.
know, Jamie, if there's any money being allocated in the CIP for decommissioning or anything?
I don't believe
that-
I don't
talked about
believe that
this
there
year?
is.
Okay.
No, I don't believe that there is.
I'll check.
The budget comes out tonight, so I haven't seen any.
Yeah, no, and this was, I've just been brought into the conversations over the past couple of weeks, so it's nothing that, engineering has included in the budget.
Yep, that makes sense.
I hope that doesn't wipe out our sustainability fund from the planning department proceeds.
Your sustainability fund would pay for
It's
a dumpster,
ours.
pay for a dumpster, maybe.
Easy,
Maybe.
easy, you're killing me.
All right, thank you all. We can head to updates.
All right, I think, what's first, I don't know.
Town council, April.
So last Wednesday, we did the FEMA floodplain mapping workshop. I got an update on all of our new floodplain mapping. We drew quite a crowd. I was actually really surprised. Media came. We had a lot of people in the room asking some good questions. So just in terms of like sustainability and thinking about, impacts to Scarborough residents, like, people are starting to feel it, on a very personal level, the sea rise and the sea level changes. And so I think that there's maybe an opportunity, and I didn't bring it up during the conversation about Sustainable Scarborough Day, but maybe there's an opportunity to have that be part of the conversation too, so that people understand the FEMA floodplain maps. And then the only other thing for council is the budget comes out tonight. Tom and the superintendent will present to the council tonight, and first reading will be April 3rd.
Perfect. Thank you, April.
Welcome.
Planning board.
It was a fairly quiet meeting March, this month. We had, one note is Higgins Beach Market. You're familiar with that, most of you, I'm sure. It's going to be totally rebuilt,
Really?
taken down and totally rebuilt with timber structure. And it's gonna be slick, and the artist renditions of this really was a very nice looking market. Same location, and they're hoping to get started right after this season. It will be in operation this season. So this was at a sketch plan.
Is it gonna be a floating market?
I don't think it is gonna be a little higher. It will be a little bit higher off
It's
of the
actually
ground.
up on,
On Spurwink.
Berwick, yeah. it's up off
It's
there.
beyond the,
It's not.
it's not to that.
That's not an
yet.
at-risk structure.
Not yet.
currently.
And then we just had a couple of other minor, subdivision opportunities, and that's it for the planning.
All right. Conservation Commission, they're still working on environmental standards, so increasing buffers and setbacks around natural resources. That is going to the ordinance committee in April. And we're also going to be doing some community outreach around that with landowners and developers, because it will have pretty large impacts on some parcels in Scarborough. And a presentation was given to SEDCO last week. And I think there will be more outreach coming related to that. Also getting going on the open space plan. So we just did, staff just had a kickoff meeting with the consultant that was selected to help with that. And we'll be doing our kind of kickoff meeting with the ad hoc open space committee coming up at the beginning of May. And likely looking at a public meeting in mid-July to get some public feedback on kind of what we should be thinking about for open space, where are important areas to conserve, and things of that nature. Hoping to have that process wrapped up in 10 months or so. So it'll be a pretty quick process. So we're looking at a draft ready in October, and then a town council presentation in January or February of 2025. So that will be coming soon.
And I forgot to mention one of the most important one from the planning board, the smoothie bar that I talked about last month is going to happen. Elliott Chamber came back and got approval for a new structure at next, very close to the Dunstan Tap and Table area. And it has some outside seating and is a nice looking building that falls within the plan, his master plan that has been approved many, many years ago. This is just one more phase of it. So look for a smoothie bar coming soon to Scarborough.
And blessedly, the Chase Bank has now opened, and now you can like see 5 banks from any given bank.
It's amazing how many banks are cropping up in Scarborough.
It's a rich town.
Well, you know, having worked in banking, there's a philosophy about branching, and it was deployed in California. Bank of America put a branch on almost every corner, and then Security Pacific came along, and their strategy was to put a branch on every corner that Bank of America wasn't on, and then Crocker and others, and so I guess that's what you're starting to see in Scarborough.
You finally caught up to California, is what you're saying?
We didn't need fast food, we just needed more places to.
All I can say is about that, I'm sorry, with deference to you, be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Hope for the better.
smoothie bar is a bad leading indicator. Unfavorable, I
With
should
that
say.
said, are there any final comments from committee?
I don't really have a transportation committee update other than, we do now have, a policy in place for traffic studies and traffic calming. The council approved that last week. So if you're having concerns in your neighborhood with speed, there is a process to request, a review, by the town, to consider, various mechanisms to get the traffic to slow down. And then, as I mentioned earlier, they are still working on their townwide transportation study. But I believe a draft is still, has not been released yet, to the committee. So that's what I've got for all of those, committee updates. We've got a little bit of extra time if anyone has anything else they want to bring to the group.
Let's beat up on Trigens.
Let's be forward looking.
Yeah.
Can we get an update on a solar farm? Like,
So,
what's next and where are we?
yeah, so I still need to submit the materials for our energy efficiency block grant. So that is due at the end of April. And then we will kind of start moving forward on that process once we kind of hear the results. And this is guaranteed funding, so they just need to approve our project.
Where would it go?
So the spot that I'm thinking of is a parcel of town-owned land off of Pleasant Hill Road in our industrial zone that is currently kind of an informal former dumping site of Public Works.
Pleasant Hill Road.
So it's actually, it's right next to South Portland, and it's it's a good area for it because it's zoned industrial, so we're not gonna have issues with like residential neighborhoods or anything like that.
There's three-phase power
And there's
there.
3-phase power right there to connect in, which is one of the requirements for.
There's the old transfer station up there where we.
Okay, so this.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, that way.
Thanks.
We're gonna put it next to your house.
When we decommission the Trigen, he's gonna get the muffler.
It'll be a lovely lawn ornament.
I thought I was gonna get them.
Oh, you want them up where you can get.
I want that big generator, the one that has cat on it.
Oh, that's not part
I
of the
think that's
tri-gen.
actually our
That's
generator.
that's the emergency generator.
Well, I still want it.
That big fan.
Yeah, well,
It's like an estate sale. You guys are just gonna come in and grab the pieces that you want.
I think we should just have a Saturday afternoon party, bring beer and tools.
all right. Well, seeing that there's no further business to be conducted, our next meeting will be April.
Actually, oh. I
May
had the wrong date
22nd.
on there, on our agenda. I just totally skipped April. Let's look at the calendar.
The third, or the fourth Wednesday will be
The 24th.
24th, yep. We will.
And for those of you planning way ahead, our May meeting will be the 22nd. As it says on the agenda.
That's good to know.
Boy. All right.
I might be able to go along with skipping, like as of a month.
Just in general.
Well, with a sustainable day, we've got some stuff that we can be doing.
Yeah.
We may be able to miss a July if
Oh,
we're
I'm
on
not actually
vacation.
talking about
that kind of day,
committee.
but-
I'm just talking about
Life in
a
general.
whole another month of school.
Yeah.
And getting teenagers across the finish.
Yeah, but you'll weather the storm.
Don't worry, Deb, it'll never end. Just,
I'm kind of feeling that way.
just keep your head down, and keep crawling.
Yeah,
Just keep going.
All right. There's nothing else. We can motion to adjourn.
Yeah, turn off the camera.
there we go.
Thank you.